I Am Mother, out on Netflix now, a 2019 film, a high concept science fiction movie. So the film opens with eerie shots of an interior of what looks like some kind of bunker scientific facility. We are informed then that there has been an extinction event of some kind, and the station currently houses no people but thousands of human embryos instead. We then watch as a droid called Mother wakes up and takes one of the embryos and nurses it to life, and then, in a short montage, takes care of the growing child, a girl. We quickly skip over some time ahead and see the child as a teenager or even young adult, played by Clara Rugard. We learn a bit more about the girl's relationship with mother, and then the apparent plague or epidemic or whatever that was of some kind that ravaged the outside world and rendered it uninhabitable and made it so there are no survivors. But then during the night, when mother is recharging and is dormant, the daughter hears banging on the door of the facility, and it turns out there's a woman outside, played by Hilary Swank, with a gunshot wound in her stomach, and she's seeking help. The daughter invites her in, and that's when the story really blows open. On the one hand, the daughter blames mother for obviously lying to her about what's going on outside, but at the same time, mother herself is not, or itself, is not fine with bringing outsiders into the bunker. Now, the movie belongs very much to what I call the high sci-fi genre. I talked about it in one of the previous reviews. I think that was Solaris. So it doesn't focus on aliens and cool CGI effects and explosions and lasers, but instead on philosophical questions that the sci-fi framing simply sets up. In this case, there are several such questions being asked, but being at the heart of the main one being at the heart of the film is the one that's at the heart also of the utilitarian philosophy, classical utilitarianism, as defined by Bentham and Mills. The problem that's at the very heart of this film and this philosophy is whether any human being has an intrinsic value to themselves, or is there some kind of metric by which we should compare, and it varies from person to person. Is all life sacred, or can it be sacrificed for the greater good? It's even directly referenced in the film, invoked as part of mother's lessons to the daughter when they are reviewing some learning material. She brings up the utilitarian problem. If a train is speeding on a track that one person is tied to, or sorry, that five people are tied to, can you or are you obliged to move the train to a different track that only has one person tied to it? Now, what I liked about the film is that it doesn't really give a straight answer to this problem within the context of the film. Or rather, it gives us both answers and lets us decide what to do with them, who was right. That's a smart thing to do, I think, because as with other ones of those philosophical problems, there really isn't one objectively correct answer. You have to pick and decide for yourself, depending on what you believe in. I also liked that it manages to do something fresh and original, despite the fact that it very clearly borrows from many, many other movies, and not just movies. Some examples would be 2001 Space Odyssey and the Portal games. Design of Mother is clearly based on a sort of mix between HAL and GLaDOS. Moon and 10 Cloverfield Lane, both movies revolving around people trying to work through some problems in enclosed spaces. Solaris, similar to the previous two, but also puts that heavy philosophical question at the heart of the movie. There are bits of the Matrix here as well, and musically speaking, it does sound a lot like the Mass Effect video games, especially at the beginning. Now, I would like to say that it's an excellent film, but it does have some flaws. I think that there are two or three little subplots or side questions that haven't really been answered or in a satisfying way, or actually even attempted an answer to be made. I think that the aspect of daughter being basically brought up without any other live humans around her, but just by a robot, wasn't really developed enough, and the consequences of that happening wasn't developed enough. For the most part, she just acts like any other usual girl her age. I also wasn't a fan of the third act, visually speaking, mostly. I won't spoil what happens, but I think the way the story goes, isn't really the best and could have benefited from just keeping it smaller scale. And finally, there are two major plot twists in the story that are telegraphed from miles away. You really can see them coming, especially the first one related to daughter. If you're paying attention, some crucial information is revealed within the first 10 minutes of the film, from which you can pretty much guess what's going on. But having said all of that, I think I'm overly critical because I love sci-fi so much and I hold it to tighter scrutiny. Overall, though, it certainly is a solid film, and if you like those slow burners with more focus on ideas than action, I think you're gonna like it.